And now, we talk about food. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany. Here we talk about all the food happenings around Acadiana. If you like food, tune in. You might learn something new. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It was a working Sunday for me, so I am actually doing the radio show in my gray scrubs from work, which is always fun. They're kind of like pajamas, so sometimes I do the show in pajamas, sometimes I do them in scrubs. It's fun. Joining me tonight as guest co-hosts is Cliff and Matt with Leisureman's cocktail mixes. We're going to learn a little later in the show what exactly that is. And we're going to be talking about cocktails for most of the show. Thanks for coming on tonight, guys.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
All right. We're going to get right into it. So today I had a amazing banh mi sandwich from this place called Grayson's Boiling Pot. You had said you had never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Have you heard of it?
I'd been by, but not had a chance to try it yet.
Okay. So the location is on Johnson Street. It's attached to Victoria's Vietnamese market. And I believe that the family is related. So they opened a sit-down version because Victoria's also serves food. And I was wondering if they were still serving food now that the restaurant's open. But the sign on the door said today that they are serving fast, hot food. So they're apparently still serving food. But Grayson's is sit down. It's beautiful in there. It's like a lot of wood. They have a nice little fish tank. It's beautiful inside. And so their menu is they serve boiled seafood and fried seafood. And then you'll kind of see some off-the-wall menu items like they have boudin egg rolls. And they have seafood mac and cheese, but then they also have pho. They have banh mi sandwiches. They have shaken beef, and then they have other, Vietnamese menu items that you would expect. I went today because they had a pretty big banh mi menu, and we don't really have banh mi at a lot of places in town. We were talking before the show. You guys only had mentioned Pops. I know Pho Saigon has it. Like a few places have it sometimes, not all the time. It's kind of hard to still find in town, but they had it. I got the combo, which I'm blanking. It was 2 pork meats. I can tell you that. One of them was ham, and they also do the pate, and they do aioli on it too. So it's pretty traditional banh mi sandwiches. And I added a sunny side up egg to it. Anyone out there listening, if you follow me on the Lafayette Food Junkie Facebook or Instagram page, I posted it today, and it's beautiful. And I think this is going to be a new Sunday breakfast brunch tradition of going and get a banh mi sandwich from over there with a sunny side egg. It was so good. It was yummy. The egg busted, and so I took the sandwich and kind of dipped it in the yolk as well. It was delicious. Have y'all had many banh mi sandwiches?
I've had a couple in New Orleans, but none here in Lafayette.
Did you have it from the bakery? There's a Vietnamese bakery in New Orleans that is known for their banh mi sandwiches. Is that where you had it?
It was, I can't even remember the name of the place. It was a random place in New Orleans East.
Okay.
Had one from there. My mother-in-law brought it back to the house, and I took a couple bites of it.
Okay.
So.
And you?
We've had the when they offered it at Pops. Is it on the menu constantly?
I think it is.
I can't ever remember, but yeah, I've definitely had it there. I feel like I've had it somewhere else in town, but I'm not putting my finger on it. But that could.
We used to have a banh mi restaurant. It was on Johnson Street. It was very short lived, and their bread was not. They had what I call the waxy film bread instead of like a crusty French bread.
That sounds familiar because you're talking about a place that has good French bread.
Yeah.
Why did this sandwich not have good French bread?
Exactly.
Right. And that was my big complaint with them too, is that you have a banh mi restaurant, like you need to have good French bread, but they didn't. So another place in town that I learned that is doing banh mi is the House Bakery.
That's on the south side going towards Maurice.
It's a little bit closer than Victoria's, but so the owners are Asian. It's a German baker, but they're making the bread in-house. So I have to imagine that these banh mi sandwiches are amazing.
Yeah.
I've known of quite a few people to go through there now, and they say what they offer. I mean, they have gelato, they have a full espresso bar. So a German bakery that has a banh mi sandwich. Yeah, I mean, why not?
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone that's had it yet, but I've seen it offered. I don't know if it's offered every day or not. I know that they were doing different plate lunches every day, but that location is so beautiful inside. They have like a huge outdoor seating area too. It's just gorgeous. And the pastries, they said the pastries change daily. So if you see something that's special, they said, get it that day because it may not be there the next time you come back. They may have something else, but delicious. I'm excited that banh mi is kind of making an appearance in Lafayette. Maybe we can get ramen on board with that. Dim sum, like, come on, like, let's get it together. I just realized this morning too that where my apartment is located, I am in close proximity to 3 pho restaurants. So the Graysons, Noodle House, which will always be my pho place. Like that's like the original OG pho place for me is Noodle House, and then Zen Noodles also has pho. And I've heard, so someone told me that Grayson's does have good pho. I have not had it yet. Someone has also told me that Zen Noodles has good pho. I have not had it from there either because, I mean, I'm a Noodle House girl, so like that's where I go to get my pho. But I think that that's interesting. And also within close proximity to my apartment is like 6 sushi restaurants. So I really feel like we do not, like Lafayette is at their sushi maximum for restaurants. And I just saw Developing Lafayette post this past week that we're getting an all-you-can-eat sushi grill, hibachi grill restaurant.
Saw that too.
Which is not, kind of close to my apartment as well. But I'm just like, we're at sushi capacity.
Exactly.
Like, please open something else that is not sushi or pho related. I'm going to go ahead and say that. I think we're getting way too many pho restaurants too. I feel like every area of town like needs one and then we're good. Like, we should have like a restaurant zoning.
Specific item.
No, sorry, sir. We have 3 pho restaurants for 10,000.
Yeah, exactly.
And they would not want me in charge of it because I would be like, no, we have 8 of these already. You're going to have to go in District Z over here. That would be not, in theory, yes, a great idea, but maybe not.
In practicality.
Yeah, in practicality. Also, Baton Rouge is getting a street food festival in January. It's on January 13th. Very little. They just announced it this past week. I don't even know who's going to it yet, but I've already requested off at work because I'm going. I was like, food truck festival, yes.
Exactly.
And it's going to be happening. It's the area in Baton Rouge by the USS Kidd, like in that little area. That's where they're going to be having it at. And I'm signed up. I'm game. I'm hoping. Awesome. And I'm sure that they're going to get some of the restaurants, the food trucks from Lafayette to go participate. But I'm excited to see about the other food trucks because Baton Rouge has some decent food trucks there too. So I'm hoping that it's not just Baton Rouge. I'm hoping that they get some from all around the state. And then the Pep Boy from Pop's Po' Boys made an appearance this week. So it was a po' boy that had marinara sauce, mozzarella cheese, and pepperoni. And they said, you should add the fried chicken to it. So I added the fried chicken to it. And what were you saying that it was called?
It was called the Tenderoni.
Tenderoni.
Which is a Chromeo song.
Okay. So my only complaint was that it was the hot chicken. And I wish that it would have been like not hot chicken because I kind of felt like it was overpowering. But it reminded me of when Burger King used to have the chicken Parmesan sandwiches. And I used to be obsessed with those when I was a teenager. So yeah. And it was like they were lengthwise and that was my absolute favorite thing to always eat. So first bite, I was like, this is that sandwich on a whole other level. And then, oh my God, my mouth is on fire from the hot chicken. But it was good. It was. I hope they bring it back because I think that was the first time
I've ever seen
that's made an appearance on the menu. So that'll be interesting to see if it makes a comeback. You said your wife
she
got
it
and she
got it,
just
wolfed it down. Loved it. Absolutely love it.
I always know when they made a good po' boy when I share it on the Food Junkie page on Facebook and it goes viral.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I always know. And I took like not the best pictures of it. Like it wasn't the most photogenic po' boy to take a picture of. Like I tried to make it as photogenic as possible, but it just didn't come out that great. And I posted it and people were still commenting about how delicious it was. And I'm like, look, it does not do it justice, but this sandwich is delicious and you need to go and get it.
Go get yourself one.
All right, we are going to take our first break, and when we come back, we have more with Cliff and Matt with Leisuremann. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
The best tasting radio show in all of South Louisiana. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku, and joining tonight as guest co-hosts is Cliff and Matt with Leisureman's cocktail mixes. Okay, so first questions first. What exactly are these cocktail mixes?
You want me to go? Okay.
Please,
So, Leisureman's cocktail mixes are what we like to call the premier traveling cocktail. Pretty much, we allow you to make one of our 3 classic cocktail flavors pretty much anywhere on planet Earth. And we say anywhere on planet Earth, like if you're on Mount Everest, of course, water's going to freeze on Mount Everest, so you probably don't want a cocktail. Or maybe you do. But we have an old-fashioned cocktail mix, the classic daiquiri, and the bee's knees. The bee's knees is actually kind of our most newest and most ubiquitous mix. You can make actually 5 cocktails with this one cocktail mix, depending on what type of liquor you mix it with.
So how did this idea come about?
the idea came from us being in a cabin in the Appalachian
And
Mountains.
not having cocktail mixes.
And yeah, Cliff was like, man, old fashioned would be nice right now. The water inside the cabin's freezing, so it was about negative 18 outside.
About 40 degrees inside the actual cabin.
It was a nice night. So we had some Tang, and the caretaker there produced a bottle of bitters from the Cold War era. And we said, you know what, let's do this. And for as comical and fun and simple as that was, we're hiking down and realizing, man, there may be something here. So let's look at the history of this. Let's look at some ingredients. See if we can make some cocktails.
Let's go drink some cocktails and tabulate some spreadsheets.
That's true, yes.
Okay, but wait, before we get into that, I need to ask, did you make a cocktail with the Tang and bitters?
Oh, yeah, it's called the Mountain Fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good enough.
Yeah, it was good enough. That's the words.
My grandmother makes this spiced tea, and I'm pretty sure it has Tang in it. And that just reminded me of that.
You don't realize how good Tang is and how much you can drink of it till it's in front of you. And
Pallets.
you just start pounding Tang down. This is amazing.
Pallets of Tang.
I didn't even realize they still made Tang.
I don't think they do. They just have a supply.
I mean, it was
of it.
probably from the Cold War era.
Yeah, exactly.
with the bitters,
From the original space
This looks
missions.
old.
Yeah. Man, it's clumping a little bit, but we can still drink
It's
it.
good. Just get it down.
Exactly.
Okay, so go back into the process of making the travel cocktail.
Okay, so the process really started looking at what kind of cocktails we liked and what goes into them, how difficult they are to make. As we kind of joked around a little earlier, making a mix from rum and Coke would be kind of counterintuitive because it is 2 ingredients. It's literally your
Easy to make,
rum and your Coke. But mixing an old-fashioned where you don't have the things to make an old-fashioned, the bitters with you, possibly, your sugar cube, pre-measured, orange that you can express out there. So if you're going to juggle all these things while you board a plane, maybe not. You're going to put them in a backpack,
Yeah.
maybe a fanny pack. I don't know if you're going to some kind of festival.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, that's a cocktail you cannot make easily outside of a bar setting. Boom. That was our first one. That was our first flavor. Go back in time, look at the history of how they're made, look at how they're made now, compare the 2. That's the net result right here. The flavors, the ratios, and the tradition.
And I'm assuming it's in powder form.
Yeah, check
correct? It out. Okay. So they brought me the guests that bring...
Oh, yeah, it's got... Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a seal on it. Quality seal.
The guests that bring cocktails and gifts are like the best gifts. So, okay. So how did y'all work with somebody to get it into the powder form? Like, who did you bring this idea to?
Just us.
This is very sciencey.
Yes. Okay. So, I mean, some people helped out. I mean, questions. There's a huge community of people that have knowledge I mean, the internet is a vast place. You know, there's resources and people at UL that are willing to help you. But honestly, a lot of it is Cliff and I.
Yeah.
We did all the dirty work. We looked at how things could work. We asked questions to the professionals that produce some of the flavor ingredients. How would you guys do this? Really just reached out to this kind of new community we're part of and put it together, started kind of checking it, guessing it, saying, okay, well, this goes here well, this doesn't go here well. This tastes exactly like an old one. Well, no one likes this because it tastes like a new one.
Yeah.
So guess and check, really?
Blind panel test tastings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just getting in front of people, our friends, people that aren't our friends, have given them some, hey, can you sample this with your family? Let us know what they think about it.
And how long did it take for you guys to come out with the first prototype that worked?
See, well, even that, our first prototype was different than what we have now. So we've improved it in the short time. But the first prototype, I think it took us about, since February, we got back from the con.
2016.
Okay.
And we released in September 2016.
2016.
And then you guys, I love that you have the directions on the side.
Absolutely.
1 ounce of water, 4 parts of the mix, dissolve 30 to 40 seconds, plus 2 ounces of spirit and ice. And then you have yourself an old fashioned.
Straight up.
So can you travel on a plane with this?
Yes, you can.
I went to Atlanta last week and brought 3 of them with me.
Okay.
I was making cocktails on the plane.
Did they like
Not
question
at
it at all?
It's the liquid. It's the liquid factor.
Yeah.
We have a dry mix here. It's not
Okay.
going to come up on any of the scans. It's not a problem. It's under the 3 ounce mark anyway. So,
How did y'all decide which 3 that you wanted to start with? So the old fashioned was the first one.
we knew we wanted to start with the old
The old
fashioned.
We
fashioned.
knew we wanted to start with the old fashioned. You know, mainly it is becoming more of a hipper drink now, but it's still rooted in culture, and it literally is the grandfather of all cocktails. It is like the original cocktail. Well, the original one is really the Sazerac. That was
Right.
That's a remedy that was made back then. But the original cocktail was the old fashioned. So that was kind of the logical one we wanted to start with.
And then what was the next one?
The next one was the classic daiquiri. So you're going back to like your Hemingway era.
Right.
Cane sugar, lime, rum. And then after that was our Corn. It was the Bee's Knees.
Bee's Knees. That was released in October, I think. The 13th?
Something like that. So yeah, I mean, your oldest, your second oldest, and Prohibition era here. And how we chose these were pivots from ones we wanted to do. And we're like, okay, we can't do that. So let's figure something else out in like 24 hours.
Yeah.
So typical small business stuff.
Yeah. The classic daiquiri was literally developed in 24 hours. It was amazing.
It just worked.
Rainy day. Yeah.
And how has people taken to the cocktail mixes so far?
The response has been really, it's been good, but yet it's been very interesting because Matt and I are very open. What we like to tell people is when you try our mix, if you don't like it, we want to know why. And if you do love it, we want to know why you love it. And we've had everybody tell us I don't like your mix because you didn't put enough bourbon in it. And I said, well, that's easier to change.
That's
you know?
a little
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
we've had people that have tried it and looked at us with this stare as if you just created magic. How did you do that? How did you create an old fashioned from a powder in a can? You know? And then there's people that try it and they say that's exactly like the cocktail that I drink. That's exactly like what I make it home or make it a bar, and this is incredible. You know, it's delicious.
very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys, I know that you're talking about expanding over time. Can you give us a little sneak peek maybe on some that you may be working on are hoping to come out soon?
I will say that if you check with us next year in March, we will be at the New Orleans Bourbon Festival.
Oh.
So think bourbon,
Yeah.
think rye whiskey, something around those as will be the next iteration.
Okay. Very interesting. And then you have the mixers that y'all brought tonight. It's bourbon, gin, and vodka.
Rum.
Rum.
Yes.
Okay. Can you, I guess, no vodka yet, no tequila mixes.
You can mix. So as I said, the Bee's Knees, you can make 5 cocktails with. So if you mix it with vodka, you get what's known as a honey lemon drop.
Okay.
Vodka's an interesting one. So what we like to tell people is you kind of have to find your own balance with vodka because too much and that's vodka in my face. Too little and you're like, well, there's really nothing in here.
Right.
You know? But if you mix that one with bourbon, you get a different drink. You can make a hot toddy with it and drink all of it.
I guess in theory, you could do any of the mixes with any different kinds of
Absolutely.
spirits to kind of play around with it and see what you like or what doesn't work.
Specifically, the old fashioned, I mix it with actually a local rum and a local aged rum, the Sweet Crude Black Gold.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that in here instead of bourbon is a fantastic change.
We have massive email strings going back and forth about how I prefer bourbon old fashions and how Matt prefers rum old fashions. And she's like, no, it's better because of this. No, it's better because of that. Just back and forth.
And what are y'all's backgrounds?
The same.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, we both graduated from UL in industrial design, which is product design. And that was back in 2009. And then we both got into rock climbing, and then we both apparently got into cocktail drinking.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, because I was going to ask if either one of you had a background in bartending.
Nope.
No,
Never
just
worked in a bar,
casual bartenders.
I think
bartenders.
that helps
Yeah.
to a degree because we don't have any preconceptions of how this is supposed to be done. I look at history and data to determine what we do. And so I can't argue with that.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Very cool. All right, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we have more with Cliff and Matt. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
From Boudin to the best burgers Acadiana has to offer, it's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku. And joining tonight as guest co-host, we are talking with Cliff and Matt with Leisureman's cocktail mixes. So they mixed me up an old-fashioned during the break. I feel like we have like a little mini bar going on in here. And you came in so official with your case.
We had a Pelican case.
Yeah, and y'all just got it.
Yeah,
right?
we just finalized
you
it
see
today.
and it looks. If you go, I discovered these gentlemen on Instagram. So you can go follow them on Instagram and kind of stay up to date. But they posted their very official case that contains like the bottles of alcohol and then the mixes, and it looks very official.
It was officially an official business case for official business meetings.
There you go.
That's what we said.
Yeah, officially.
Officially.
And your bee's knees.
That's the bee's knees.
Oh, yeah, you got work to do.
All right, let me grab it. Okay, so now I'm like double fisting. So the old fashioned is very bourbon forward,
It's
as you
bourbon
said.
forward.
Yeah.
Let's think about...
But it's good. We don't have ice in the
Yeah, we
studio,
don't
so
have ice.
over ice, it would taste better.
Mellows itself. Mellows the bourbon out. You know, the thing with the old fashioned is so many bars you go to, you order an old fashioned, and you get in, you're like, okay, that's a little watered down. It's a little weak, and it may not be what you want. You know, so the traditional old fashioned is bourbon forward.
The bee's knees is delicious.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so for our listeners out there that are not familiar with the bee's knees cocktail, what traditionally is in it?
Pretty much exactly what you have there. A traditional bee's knees would be honey, lemon, and gin. A little simple syrup to round it off. The idea behind it was to cover up the poor quality of some of the gin of that era. So hence the bee's knees, the best.
The best.
A very popular drink in the Prohibition era.
For sure.
I love the histories of cocktails and where they came about. And then finding out, that's been an ongoing theme lately with the more sugar-forward cocktails that they were kind of hiding the bad nature of the alcohol that was made. So I wonder how many people died in that era from bad
gut
alcohol.
rot?
Yeah, from bad alcohol.
A few. I would
Yeah.
think a few, yeah.
I'm sure that there's numbers and studies out there for that, but we don't have it with us right now. What has been y'all's favorite of the mixes?
I'm a big old fashioned guy, and I love the old fashioned mix. But the bee's knees to me is starting to become, this mix that I can pick up, and whatever liquor I have on hand, I'm going to mix it with, and it's going to make a great cocktail. So that one's slowly becoming my top tier flavor.
Because I feel like you could even do it with tequila
Absolutely.
to kind of mimic a little bit of a margarita, just a tad bit. So I feel like even, I don't know, if I want to get a little daring, a mezcal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Mezcal sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Little smoke, a lot of smoky, and oh man, yeah, I'm gonna agree with Cliff. I think the bee's knees has been a pleasant surprise. The first time we started doing cocktail research on that, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool and all. And then I looked at the ingredients, what would go into it, and it's like, this is the real deal. This is a cool cocktail. It's not as popular, so people are going to have that same surprise. Oh, I don't like gin that much. That has gin in it? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm getting another one of those.
Yeah, I'll take 2 of those, thanks.
So that's been a very pleasant experience.
For sure.
So where can people purchase these right now? Because I asked if you guys were selling them yet, and you said, yes, you are. So where can people purchase them? Where are you guys going to be soon to where if they want to kind of taste them in person and check it out, where will that be?
Currently, the easiest way would probably be online.
Okay.
You can go to our online store at leisuremanns.com and shop for the flavor that suits you best. Second to that, you can find us at any one of our festivals that we go to. Currently, our next festival is the Mid-City Makers Market in Baton Rouge, and that is this Friday?
This Friday from 6 to 10. And we have an events page on our website if you want to check out where we're going.
Where are y'all going to be in Lafayette next?
That's a good question.
That is a real good
Okay.
question.
We
Put you on the
are...
spot. You guys should sign up for the food truck festival.
There
in
you
Baton
go.
Rouge.
In
And
Baton
be,
Rouge,
I'm
absolutely.
sure they're going to have vendors for that.
Yeah, the people in Baton Rouge have been very, very easy to work with, and that's been kind of a blessing. So we've really enjoyed working with them. We're looking in 2018 to get more of a foothold in the Acadiana area. We just had an event in New Iberia, which was really nice. And so just trying to keep our prospects open. But we do have some product in Ross's store, Gentry downtown.
Okay.
So if you're looking for a brick and mortar place to buy from, I would suggest going there.
Support Ross and those
Support
guys are
Ross.
doing some good stuff.
We definitely have a few other places that are looking to get our stuff in there. It's just a matter of time and paperwork.
They have cool flasks at Gentry
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So FYI, holiday season is coming up.
Gifts.
Perfect for the male or female in your life. Flask, Leisureman's cocktail mixes. Boom. I just
The
made you a
dream.
Christmas gift.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. And where do you guys, so there's a lot of research and development that goes into this. Where do you guys typically like to go to do your research around town? Like, what are some of your favorite bars?
I would say from a classic cocktail menu perspective, Pamplona's has it going on. And we'll go there and if you catch a table of 2 or 3 guys ordering 7 classic cocktails, that's usually us. It's either Pamplona's or we'll go to Pops.
Pops is always fun.
And we were talking about that Pops has really been impressing me with their cocktail menu
Exactly.
lately. They've really upped the cocktail game. And I know Thursday nights they have the happy hour and the drinks are like $5.
Oh, yeah.
For the craft cocktails that they have there. And the ones that they have right now for fall all look really delicious.
I've drank all of those except for the Fairly Legal, which I'll probably get either this weekend or next weekend. The Sage, I think it's Sagely Beautiful. I'm probably saying that wrong. That one's delicious. And then they have another one, a Moscow Mule type one over there, and it's amazing. It's super good.
I was surprised by their Sazerac. And for a po' boy shop to make a good Sazerac, that direction is
exactly.
right.
I like their old fashioned.
Their old
that's
fashioned's
there
great.
too with the Satsuma.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
it's delicious.
it's really good. Another place that I like to have an old fashioned at. Well, they have them at JSP, but at Legends is where my friend Jaquay, who's been on the show, like she gets this. She'll get it with the man. What is the name of that? It's like slow and low. A slow and low old fashioned, which is basically a whiskey that is almost like an old fashioned.
For sure. Yeah, Legends makes great. I know they're famous for their margaritas.
Oh.
Those things are devilishly deceiving.
Deadly.
Yeah,
Danger.
they are deadly. Also, Bread and Circus make great cocktails over there, and so does Dark Roux. Fridays at Dark Roux, $5 old fashions. You can't pass that up. That's really hard to pass up.
Don't forget about
Social,
yeah.
$5 on Wednesdays for old fashions as well. So
Y'all have the mark on where the old fashions are. How many old fashions have you guys tried from around town to research this? Because it sounds like everywhere you go, you get an old fashioned.
man,
Yeah, that's kind of the standard because you can get an idea of how cocktails are going to go from the
Right.
old
Yeah,
fashioned.
exactly.
I mean, everywhere from Don's to
I would say.
I'm trying to think of a place we haven't had an old fashioned from.
Yeah, exactly. I can't. I'm trying to think of like the most hole in the wall.
I haven't had an old fashioned from Pour Wine Bar.
Yeah, neither have I.
Haven't had one there. So I don't know.
Man, it's like, yeah, I can't think of a.
Do you know of any place in town that does the old fashioned with the rock candy?
Don's
does that. Yeah,
Okay.
They used to. Now Don's has an extensive old fashioned menu. I think it's in the middle of their food menu.
Okay.
And they have, I'm going to say 40 different bourbon or whiskeys that you can choose from for their old fashioned. But yeah, they stopped doing the rock candy, which was a little disappointing because I enjoyed that. I really did. They may still have it.
You can request it.
I think when I went there recently to Don's, they put the rock candy in it, but they sweetened the old fashioned with with a brown sugar simple syrup.
Okay.
So rock candy was still there, but it was sweetened for you. Whereas prior, I think Don's had the rock candy, and you would slowly sweeten your old fashioned with it.
Okay.
And slowly drink on it.
Good to know. I've never had it with the rock candy. I've just seen
Delicious.
it. I'm not the biggest old fashioned drinker. Like being the whiskey lover that I am, I like my whiskey straight. Usually when I drink it, but I've had a couple of old fashions here or there, and the one at Pops I think has been my favorite.
Yeah.
But I do know some of the places have it with the rock candy in it.
Yeah.
What are some of your, besides an old fashioned, what are some of your favorite cocktails to get when you guys go out?
Sazerac now. I've definitely learned to love that one.
Yeah.
Gin and fizz. You can get a good gin and fizz. That's a cool drink to
That's
have.
an amazing drink.
Is that with an egg white?
Yep.
That's where they foam it up.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like we don't have a lot of cocktail places around here that do egg white.
No.
Yeah, it's one of those
far in
things.
between.
New Orleans, you can jam on some gin and fizz.
The place that I went to in Birmingham, the Speakeasy, did a lot of egg white cocktails.
It's just I don't know if it's a fear of it
The
or
first
just
time I ever had a bee's knees was in New Orleans at Two Jacques.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like he put an egg white in it. Like, I think that there was...
Really?
Yeah.
It's possible, probably to get that frothy flavor, almost
Yeah.
like a meringue, like a lemon meringue type.
And it
deal,
was
maybe?
it was, and it was like creamy. It was almost like a daiquiri, but it was a bee's knees, and that was one of the I fondly remember that cocktail, and it had gin, and I think that's when I first started falling in love with gin cocktails. Was that cocktail at Two Jacques?
Absolutely.
How do you feel about Caipirinhas?
I do not like them.
What?
I'm not a bitter fan. I'm not a fan of like bitter drinks. And I know that people that are in the business and people that are really into craft cocktails are very into bitter drinks. So that's why I'm not a
interesting. Okay.
Negroni.
That
I'm not
flavor
a
profile.
Yeah, I'm not a Negroni fan. So not a fan. Are y'all working on that?
No, not necessarily. Not
That takes
necessarily.
a unique palate, the Negroni, and you get, and then even from like an old fashioned perspective, we have a lot of people who say, no, I just drink Manhattans. It's like, okay, so yeah, you really celebrate the bourbon or the rye or the whiskey and bitter combination.
Another thing,
See, and that's what I think of Sazerac. Like, I feel like Sazeracs are more bitter, but I mean, maybe not necessarily. I think I've only had a
it's
Sazerac.
because it has the herb saint in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, another thing too. I mean, that's kind of goes into our flavors. Look at if you're going to be freak like me and look at the divergence of old fashions. I mean, you have different styles that pin off there. So
It's fascinating. That aspect of cocktail history is just so fascinating, and how they kind of the little nuances and differences, and then how it can go from like what was available at the time and what wasn't available at the time, kind of thing. So it gets so fascinating.
Very.
With the food history. What have been some cocktails that you guys do not like?
what was that Scotch one? Penicillin.
The penicillin, yeah. That was an interesting
What is
one.
that?
It was a honey,
Lemon,
ginger, Scotch.
Yeah.
It kind of smelled like Band-Aids.
A little bit.
It sounds like almost like a toddy, but with Scotch.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was definitely a cold cocktail.
Underwhelming. I think
Yeah.
that's the best way to describe it.
Because, I guess my complaint was that the subtle nuances and the flavors that you would get out of the Scotch weren't there. It was almost like it was
Masked.
overshadowed or masked. So I wanted to know that the Scotch was there, and I wanted more presence of that Scotch, but still have those complementary flavors to come in on it, and it wasn't there.
I want to say that Charlie G's used to have a Scotch cocktail that I really liked, and it was just Scotch, and then they had like some kind of jam or that they would add to it. So it was like the Scotch with the sweetness. So we were talking about before the show, I'm not the biggest Scotch fan because it's a little too on the peaty side. And this was good because it was a Scotch, but you had that sweetness.
It helped
to
it.
kind
Yeah,
of cut it a
exactly.
little bit.
Exactly.
And I don't know what the name of it is, and I do not know if
I
it's
wonder if
still
it was
on
like an interpretation of a Rob Roy.
the
might
same
be.
menu, but it
Huh.
was
I don't know.
good. All right, we are going to take another break, and when we come back, we have more with Cliff and Matt. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
She puts the wow, yum into words. It's the Lafayette food junkie herself on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Daku, and we've been talking with Cliff and Matt with Leisureman's cocktail mixes. They've been mixing me up some drinks, so I'm trying not to slur my words in the last segment, but I do feel it coming. It's coming. You guys are working on the traditional daiquiri.
Yes, ma'am,
now,
the
I'm
classic
wondering
daiquiri.
if you could actually, has anyone tried to blend it with the frozen, like with the ice cubes?
We've surprisingly only had one request for that, and they never followed up. So we were really curious to see.
Because I feel like you could easily do that instead of just putting regular ice cubes, just blend
it up. Like what we like
Yeah.
to tell everybody is, if you're used to a fruity daiquiri, if you like strawberries or blueberries, add it in there. There's no reason why you shouldn't. That's
Okay.
the thing.
So, and you said that one was very, like, people either love it or they hate it.
Yeah, it's because it's rummy. I guess that's
It's
if you don't
rum
like
forward.
rum, you're not gonna like that drink.
It's good.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, I mean, it wouldn't be like a go-to for me. Now, I will say that if I did it frozen and added fruit to it, it
Yeah.
may be, a little more like a summery kind of drink, but just for like a daiquiri
Yeah.
for the Hemingway sake of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's always so surprising to me that he was so into daiquiri.
Oh, he really was.
Because whenever I imagine him being like a straight whiskey drinker,
Right.
and he totally loved daiquiris.
Exactly. And he used to honestly drink. He drank some of his with grapefruit juice in it. Like
Very
yeah, he was
strange combinations.
Yeah, completely.
Ooh, grapefruit juice actually may taste good in this.
Yeah, I would think it'd be great.
That would be something that I would want.
That one truly is simply a rum enhancer. If you really break it down, it sweetens it. It adds a little bit of citrus on the back end without adding any bitterness.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what surprised us with the older recipes of that. It wasn't strong on lime.
Yep.
It was just that nice cane sugar, just a little rum, and a little hint of that citrus.
What have been some of the requests that people have made for the flavors that you guys should make?
Rum and Coke.
Which blows my mind.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It's like, how simpler can you get?
Yeah.
And
Gin and tonic, and
margarita, for sure.
margarita, absolutely.
And I was thinking like that would be obvious. Like that would be an obvious one to make is the margarita.
Classic cocktail wise, margarita is a classic cocktail, but trying to think.
We've had people request Negroni and Manhattan and cocktails along those lines. That's pretty much it. I don't necessarily know if like the general public has a good understanding of the classics, and because I guess they look at like the Moscow Mule, and that technically is considered
It's
a
a
classic.
nouveau classic.
Yeah, nouveau classic. It was created in the 1940s.
I feel like a cosmopolitan would be easy.
Yeah,
to make
cosmopolitan
too.
would be
I am
easy.
not a fan of Cosmos, but I will say that when I started drinking, that's what I drank.
Yeah.
But I hate them now.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
A lot of sugar in a cocktail.
Yeah, that's a big challenge with our product versus some of these cocktails. Moscow Mule, Cosmopolitan, anything with a lot of liquid has a lot of sugar in it.
absolutely.
So a lot of the vodka drinks have a lot of sugar. All our mixes that we just mixed tonight at that volume, 6 grams of sugar or less.
yeah,
Okay. That's
Moscow
good to know.
Mule, you're looking at 65 to 70 grams of sugar.
more than a
Wow.
Coke in a Moscow Mule.
It's like, what? So
a lot.
It's a low sugar mix, which is
Yeah.
kind of refreshing. You're not getting decimated by.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like that's where I am with my cocktails is like I don't like the bitter. I don't like the super sweet. I kind of like a middle, maybe more towards a middle bitter, like somewhere in between there.
Yeah.
But I do not like super sugary cocktails.
exactly.
And you're spending money on the liquor. Say you get something that's $40. You're going to cover that up with Kool-Aid?
Exactly.
No, you're not. So that's kind of, I guess, really the backbone of why we've chosen to stick with the classics, went back in time, and are really celebrating what people are choosing to drink.
Yeah.
What have been some of the ones that you've tried and failed?
Moscow Mule,
Moscow Mule
Moscow
for sure.
Mule, yeah.
That's,
Cosmopolitan.
yeah.
Really? So you
Yeah,
haven't tried?
exactly.
Okay.
Early on, we tried it. We haven't tried it since our new formula's out. But once again, it's just that liquid and a lot of sugar in there. What else have we tried?
Man,
I'm trying to think now.
I know we loosely worked in a mojito for a little
mojito's
bit.
so hard.
See, I feel like
mojito's
that would be
difficult.
another one that would be an obvious choice.
The most difficult part is controlling the mint.
The mint.
Mint is a monster because mint has oil that floats to the surface. And the palate experience between coming from a dry mix and then a not dry is night and day.
The best mojito that I have ever had, Jeremy, who's a bartender, who has been a guest co-host on the show, he was working at the Rum Room for a while, and he did a snow cone version of the mojito. Like, he was doing like it was the best mojito I've ever had.
That sounds
and
incredible.
he was like, I shot myself in the foot because like everyone started requesting it, and they were like, grinding the ice as like they went. But like the best mojito I have ever had.
Mojito's nice too because you can get like a low mediocre level mojito and you're still like, I'm going to finish it.
Yeah, that's a good
It's
mojito.
not bad.
Got a good amount of rum in there. The mint's okay,
It's just enjoyable.
I went to Cafe Habana 2 weeks ago, and I love them. Like,
Absolutely.
that's what we have for Cuban food, and it's really good. Their mojitos are okay. Like, they're not the best mojitos I've ever had, but they're not bad either. They're like decent. You get giant ones, and I think they're like buy one get one free. So they're known for their mojitos. And then I got the Cuba Libres that they have there, which when you say it, you think that it's this super fancy drink, and all it is a rum and Coke with lime. like that's
Surprise!
That's all a Cuba Libre is.
Cuba Libre. I haven't had that. I'm going to have to try that.
had that either.
I like their stuff. Their food's great.
Their food is awesome.
Their food is delicious. Okay, so where are some places around town that you like to eat at? Or what would be some food items maybe that you can suggest that would pair well with the cocktails?
Oh,
Put you on the
cocktail
spot.
pairing.
Cocktail pairing. Put you on the spot with the last 3 minutes of the show.
I guess it's going to sound kind of crazy, but my go-to for any of them is I would eat loaded French fries and drink these cocktails with any of them.
Classy.
And just go to town and just force feeding the loaded
You
French
sound
fries.
like me in the drive-thru at Taco Bell.
Oh, my goodness.
Like
Exactly.
at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's Taco Bell
just
time.
getting it,
Yeah.
Sazerac and the bacon wrap dates at Pamplona.
See
Ooh,
that?
that's classy.
You say that like we've done it, and we
I
have.
saw what you guys did, and I said, I'm going to the top.
Probably like the perfect pairing, like classy and
exactly.
trashy.
Exactly. That's so good.
It's that Chalmette. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, Chalmette.
I love it. I love it so much. Okay, so he was saying that you cook at home. Is that?
Sure. Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite things that you like to cook at home?
Oh, favorite to cook at home?
And do you drink your cocktails while you're cooking at home?
Oh, I drink anything. I drink our cocktails. I mean, because you're constantly experimenting and exploring.
Exactly.
So I'm running things that don't work sometimes and some things that are like, yeah, okay, we got a chance there. But we've been big lately into a lot of salmon. Cooking salmon skin
I hate
on.
salmon.
Really? Oh, okay. All right.
Interesting.
I hate salmon because I like do not like fishy taste. And I feel like a lot of salmon, you get that fishy taste to it. And I haven't,
Dang.
Haven't found a salmon that you like.
I haven't
yet.
found a salmon that I like yet.
Dang. Well, I bet you'd like, serious. I know it sounds strange, but I have a very primitive way of cooking things now, and it's been very
Do
fun.
you cook it over wood fire?
If I can, yes.
Okay.
Skin on the wood,
Nice.
cooked. I do a steak like that too, where you put steak down directly on the coal, and then you flip it. It takes like a minute and a half to cook, and then you wrap it up, and you have a coal gravy. I know it sounds wild, and
It's unbelievable. It truly is unbelievable.
Paul Cradio, who came on the show a couple of weeks ago, he and I were talking before the show, and I was talking about how my apartment has a fireplace, and I was like, super stoked about it. And he was like, "Have you cooked in it yet?" And I was like, "No, not yet, but I want to." And that just reminded me of that.
Exactly.
there you go. You gotta try, and don't be timid with food. That's the idea. Risk, you're gonna lose sometimes, but you're gonna hit something that's just like, man, I put 3 ingredients in that, and it was awesome.
Exactly.
Just like with your
Just
cocktails.
Just like
Cocktails,
with the cocktails.
exactly.
Okay, so again, let's tell people the 3 that you have available now and where they can go to purchase and where they can go to find you guys to follow you for more information.
So we have the old fashioned, the bee's knees, and the classic daiquiri. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. you go to our website, we have an online store at leisuremanns.com. And feel free, reach out to us, gents@leisuremanns.com. Send us some emails. We also have a newsletter. Sign up. We promise we won't spam you, but we'll send you some crazy stuff from two dudes who love cocktails.
Thanks so much for coming on tonight, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
all right, that's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. This is Tiffiany Deku on News Talk 96.5 KPEL, and this is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy eating, Acadiana.